Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Trading Chief. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, I cover biopharmaceutical stocks that have upcoming FDA reviews, and I also cover stock or upcoming stock mergers. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Lexicon Pharmaceutical, or LXRX. I've done a video on this one previously for the same drug, but it was tied into another video, so I just want to point that out. I think this deserves its own video, and we'll kind of go over what's going on with it. It says Lexicon Pharm, and just a quick overview of this. Lexicon Pharmaceuticals engages in the discovery, development, and commercialization of pharmaceutical products for the treatment of human diseases. Its drug candidates include LX9211, an orally delivered small molecule drug candidate as a treatment for neuropathic pain, and cetagliflozin, a treatment for heart failure and type 1 diabetes. We're only going to be looking at cetagliflozin for treatment of heart failure. And I kind of went over the reason why the type 1 diabetes part of it. And if we'll go over here and look at their website, and this is their pipeline. This is cetagliflozin, and it's got heart failure and type 1 diabetes. The type 1 diabetes was issued a CRL, which is a complete response letter from the FDA saying why they rejected it. And I covered that in my last video on this drug itself. And they tried repealing the CRL and going to court over it and everything else because they think they got an unfair review by the FDA for the CRL. But basically, what the FDA is saying is that it causes patients to have diabetic ketosis, and they're accepting it for heart failure with diabetes. So it's really odd on what's going on with this drug, but there's significant gains in the heart failure portion of it, and for the diabetic portion of it, but they won't approve it for the diabetic portion. So I want to go over the news articles that's come out on this drug, and the reason, and you'll see the reason why I showed you that right here. It says Lexicon heart failure therapy undergoes FDA review again. So as you can see, it's already saying again. This is clinical stage biotech Lexicon Pharmaceuticals announced on Wednesday that the FDA accepted its new drug application for cetagliflozin, an experimental therapy targeted at heart failure. The regulator has granted a standard review for the new drug application with a PDUFA date in May of 2023. The FDA has rejected cetagliflozin on several occasions previously. See, they didn't say why, but it was for a whole different. It was for a whole different cure. It was for diabetes 1, not heart failure. Lexicon is expecting a broad label for the NDA to target heart failure patients with and without diabetes. So nothing that results from the company's phase 3 Soloist WHF study would be critical in supporting the proposed label. This is an important step in potentially bringing cetagliflozin to the market as a new treatment for heart failure. So there's that news article. We're going to take a look at another news article on August 22nd, and it's this one right here. It says Lexicon Pharmaceuticals highlights publications relating to cetagliflozin's differentiated dual SGLT1 and SGLT2 mechanisms for action and potential implications for cardiovascular disease. The results to be presented at the European Society for Cardiological Congress demonstrates differential effects during endothelial dysfunction and cell studies. Recent publication in the journal Diabetes Care evaluates metabolic, intestinal, and cardiovascular effects in a clinical study. This is Lexicon today announced a series of publications concluding that cetagliflozin's differential dual SGLT1 and SGLT2 mechanisms of action may have implications for cardiovascular disease. 2 posters will be presented on August 28th and 29th on the 70th Annual A European Study of Cardiovascular Congress highlighting protein expressed analysis comparing sotagliflozin, a dual SGLT1 and 2 inhibitors, with a selective SGLT2 inhibitor in cell-based models relative to inflammation and thrombosis. The first poster, sotagliflozin, a dual SGLT1/2 inhibitor, reduced expression of neutrophil degranulation proteins during endothelial dysfunction compared with a selective SGLT2 inhibitor, and concludes that the favorable effects of sotagliflozin on mechanisms of inflammation have implications for ischemic disease, including myocardial infarction and stroke. The second poster, sotagliflozin, a dual SGLT1/2 inhibitor, reduced expression of platelet activators during endothelial dysfunction compared to empagliflozin, concludes that the effects of dual SGLT1 and SGLT2 inhibition on platelet activity may have implications for reduced thrombic risk. A manuscript entitled Metabolic, Intestinal, and Cardiovascular Effects of Sotagliflozin Compared with Empagliflozin in Patients with Type 2 Diabetes, a randomized double-blind study, was recently published online ahead of print in the Journal of Diabetes Care. Results from the study showed that while both agents demonstrated similar effects on many cardiometabolic measures, there were differences in others, such as incremental incretin levels following meals, noted as having potential implications of cardiovascular disease. So, then it goes on just talking about safe harbor, Lexicon, sotagliflozin, and whatnot. But we'll move on. Next one we're going to look at is from October 2nd. It says new analysis of Soloist WHF trial underscores sotagliflozin's effect on reducing recurrent heart failure events. So data presented at the Heart Failure Society of America annual scientific meeting. New analysis adds to growing body of evidence in support of the use of sotagliflozin, an investigational dual SGLT1 and SGLT2 inhibitor, in the treatment of heart failure. Lexicon today announced that a new analysis of results from the Soloist WHF Phase 3 outcomes trial of sotagliflozin, an investigational dual SGLT1 and SGLT2 inhibitor, was presented at the Heart Failure Society of America annual scientific meeting of 2022. The new analysis was presented by Bertram Pitt, MD, professor of medicine, emeritus at the University of Michigan School of Medicine, and co-chair for the Soloist WHF trial, as well as a member of the executive committee of the Phase 3 SCORE trial of sotagliflozin. The poster entitled Sotagliflozin, a dual SGLT1 and SGLT inhibitor, reduces first and sequential heart failure. Almost knocked my glass over. Heart failure related events in patients admitted for worsening heart failure was presented on Sunday, October 2nd, during the general poster viewing session. One second. Patients treated with sotagliflozin in the Soloist WHF trial experienced fewer single as well as multiple heart failure events than those receiving placebo. So Dr. Pitt, we conclude that sotagliflozin altered the trajectory of patients hospitalized for worsening heart failure by reducing early and recurrent heart failure events. We're pleased that the data from the Soloist WHF trial continues to yield robust findings that further help characterize and differentiate the potential benefits of sotagliflozin in heart failure. So, just some good news on how they've changed from going from type 1, type 2 diabetes to it being beneficial in heart failure. And it kind of goes over that stuff here too, but I'm not going to read all of that. We're going to keep it moving. The next news article we're going to look at is from October 31st, which is this one. This is new analyses of sotagliflozin from the Soloist WHF and SCORE trials in high cardiovascular risk patients to be presented at the American Heart Association Scientific Sessions of 22. Lexicon today announced the upcoming presentation of new analyses of results from the Soloist WHF and SCORE Phase 3 outcome studies of its investigational sotagliflozin product at the American Heart Association Scientific Session 22 in Chicago, Illinois. The following analyses of sotagliflozin have been selected for oral and poster presentations. The effect of the dual SGLT1 and 2 inhibitors, sotagliflozin, of cardiovascular mortality and hospital readiness rates of heart failure at 30 and 90 days post-discharge in patients with type 2 diabetes hospitalized for worsening heart failure in the Soloist WHF trial. An oral presentation on Sunday, November 6th at 4:18, yada yada, advances in diabetes and heart failure. Comparison of investigator-reported and adjudicated events from Soloist and SCORE to be presented on Saturday, November 5th at 11 a.m. as a moderate poster during the heart failure management with or without diabetes sessions. Sotagliflozin, a dual SGLT1 and 2 inhibitor, modulated expression in endothioproteins that inhibit reactive oxygen species during inflammation compared with empagliflozin will be presented on November 5th. So obviously it's doing good because they were spreading it around back in 2020 at the different scientific associations that they were going through. So the next news article we're going to look at is from March 3rd. It says Lexicon Pharmaceuticals stock jumps on fourth quarter revenues, sotagliflozin heart drug update. Shares of Lexicon jumped 25% to $2.73 on Friday after the company posted results that showed its revenue doubled in the fourth quarter, along with details on its sotagliflozin drug. So I only want the details, so let's look at that. In July, Lexicon Pharmaceuticals received Food and Drug Administration approval to treat heart failure at sotagliflozin. We're on track with the PDUFA, or the Prescription Drug Users Fee Act, action date in May of this year for our NDA for sotagliflozin for the treatment of heart failure, as confirmed during the week's FDA late cycle review meeting. So that didn't actually tell us anything. The next one we're going to look at is from March 7th. And it says, now I found this one funny because the title and what the article says is contradictory of each other. And then, Seeking Alpha wants you to buy their crap. Luckily, I get it for free on MooMoo. So if you want the stuff for free, use my link down below and get you and sign up for MooMoo, and you get all these articles for free instead of having to pay for them. But anyway, Seeking Alpha's crap, so there's that. Lexicon initiated at buy at Jefferies on uptake of heart failure candidates sotagliflozin. So they said there was a buy here, and then right here it says Jefferies has initiated Lexicon Pharmaceuticals with a hold, saying that while chances of U.S. FDA approval for heart failure candidates sotagliflozins are high, there are concerns about market uptake. The firm has a $3 price target, 15% upside based on Monday's close. Analyst Andrew Tsai said that he sees an 80 to 85% chance that the FDA approves sotagliflozin, an oral SGLT1 2 in May for diabetes patients with worsening heart failure. While approval could lead to 10 to 30% Stock upside, Sai is concerned that the uptake may be as strong based on the comments from a survey of cardiologists. Jeffries says estimates from sotagliflozin are below consensus estimates, while the consensus seeks peak sales of $697 million in 2031. Jeffries only sees peak sales reaching $332 million. Sai also notes that there are several heart failure drugs already on the market from bigger pharma companies with significantly larger sales forces. He added that much of the growth in the heart failure drug is happening outside the U.S., where Lexicon has no presence. The company would also likely need to wait to gain payer and formulary access. Well, we're not worried about all that. Only thing we want to do is buy before the FDA approval and sell after the FDA approval. So they're only talking about this as a long-term hold, and that's not what I'm looking for. I want to buy it prior to the news and sell the news. So that's what we're going to do. And then the next one is this one right here. It actually doesn't say anything. It just says Express News, Lexicon Pharmaceutical NDA for sotagliflozin on track for May 27th. So you have a May 27th PDUFA date now instead of an unknown date in May. So that's all I have. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button. Come check us out in the Discord. And that's all I got. Thanks for watching again. Have a good day.